here's my patch walkthrough for my most recent patch, Divide by Infinity. It's an expansion of my last one, Divide by Zero, where I was just using these things. But with this one, I added the MiniBrute 2S to give some droning and also to use its filter and LFOs for some neat things happening as well. So I will talk through everything, even the stuff that I talked about in my original Divide by Zero explanation, just so that you don't have to watch both if you're just coming to this one. So here we go. There's 3 voices happening really. Let's walk through them one by one. So the first one is right here, which is being sent into the Metalizer here from Plaits. So Plaits is being pitched by the Varigate4 Plus, which we'll get to in just a second. And then that output is this guy right here, the coral one, coming up to this top row where my VCA is being controlled by the sum of maths. So what's happening over here on maths? Math is set up I followed a YouTube tutorial to get this kind of echo effect. So the echoing that you're hearing, I'll slow down in a second here. That echoing that you're hearing is not coming from Ableton, that is coming from Maths. Channel 1 is set on a quick cycle, Channel 4 is set on a slow cycle, and then Channel 1 is turned up, Channel 2 is turned down, just to offset that so that it brings all of that, these quick waves to be negative. And then when Channel 4 spikes, suddenly we get the sum of all of those back above 0, and we get to hear those quick spikes of Channel 1. But they get quieter as 4 goes down. So that's all what's coming out the sum, and that's going into here. Plaits main output is being controlled by that. And that's being sent then into the Metalizer in of the MiniBrute here, so I have some wave folding that can happen with this here. So that's the main voice there. The second voice is controlled right up here. So this is the aux out of Plaits, still being controlled by the same pitches, but the aux out then is sent in here, and its VCA is being controlled just by the OR output of Maths. So that means when 4 is low, we're still hearing these quick ticks of Channel 1. So we're always hearing this Channel 1 cycling happening as we go through that. So that's being sent to here, and then that's just being dropped down to another empty VCA with no CV in it, so I can just control the volume of that, being sent into this brown cable, which is my mix going to the headphones out and then to my computer. So that's the first 2 channels that are being CV controlled volume-wise through the hexagram VCA by the 2 channels of Maths, the sum and the OR. And those are both being controlled by my Varigate. So before we talk about the drone, let's talk about this guy right here. So the end of cycle of my Math, let's give ourselves something to listen to. The end of cycle of Channel 4 here is what's being my clock. So that's going into my mult here, syncing up Channel 1 with Channel 4 just to make it line up well, and then going to the clock input of Varigate, as well as, let's see, what else am I doing? Oh, as well as my ADSR that I'll talk about in a little bit. So the Varigate4 Plus, Channel 1, they're all set on CV. Channel 1 is my random pitches that are quantized to a certain scale, but just kind of jumping around between notes. Channel 2 is controlling the both function of my quick cycle of Channel 1. So when this gets down here to the bottom of this, you'll hear it begin to speed up. And then I'll go back to the slow cycle. So I just basically have a full 8 cycles. The first ones are all set to low, and then they get bigger and bigger as it goes to the end. Channel 3 then is being sent into the harmonic input of Plaits, which is where we get these high notes that we're hearing right now. And you hear it slide way back down because I have the glide turned up all the way on these. So I only have like one of these turned way all the way up. The rest of them are all low. And that's being sent to that harmonic knob to kind of give those interesting harmonics that kind of jump the octaves. So that's what's happening with the Varigate. Let's see if we can talk about the other things with Plaits here. Just some slight extra things coming out of the slow cycled wave from Maths is controlling the timbre a little bit, and then channel 1, the quicker wave, is a little bit controlling the morph as well. So those are the things that are happening up here. Coming down to the MiniBrute, like I said, the main voice is being sent into the triangle wave. So we have the Metalizer options for it, and that's just normal. Oh no, not normal. I sent LFO 2 to control the metal mod here instead of the velocity track, so this guy controls that. And then I also have a drone happening here. Let me turn this guy back down, so we just have the main tune. And I have a drone just on octaves in oscillator 1 and 2. Obviously an octave lower in oscillator 2 as it goes through. And then the final thing that's kind of happening down here is I've got the pulse width modulation and the ultrasaw amount cranked all the way up, so that especially you can hear it in this guy here. I like this one. So that LFO 1 is controlling the pulse width modulation. That kind of gives a really interesting fluttering effect in there. And then the end of cycle 4, end of cycle there is also triggering the ADSR, which is normal to the cutoff point of the filter. So crank a little bit of the resonance, add in a little bit of white noise, and you get some interesting kind of bell tones with this. Yep, and then this is all being sent back out of my amp, which is turned all the way up and just droning. That's being sent up into my hexagram, into a channel that's just turned all up so that it's mixed with the quick wave second voice, all being sent into Ableton, which just has some reverb and a little bit of delay on the high end over there. So I hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you have any thoughts or suggestions. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. Since my drones are connected here, I can actually play them with the MiniBrute here, so I can slide turned up a bit and play them, mostly going between low G and back up to C. So there we go. It's a fun one to make and a neat one to explore that really was a different way of approaching it, that I felt was a lot more modular instead of relying on my music knowledge as a much more exploring way of making music, and I enjoyed it. Hope you did too.